Even hot dogs are better on charcoal. Everything's better on charcoal. Hey everybody. Okay, so I got the day off from work and I wanted to be a little productive, so aside from trying to clean up the house a little bit, I finally got my hands on morebeer.com's oatmeal stout kit. Big thank you to my wife for that. The trick is, the oatmeal stout kit from More Beer is a mini mash, which we haven't done yet. But if you remember, when I first started this, I mentioned there was four difficulty levels for homebrewing. There's extract, partial extract, mini mash, and all grain. So we're going to look into mini mash today. And the vast difference is just really timing. I mean, there's some extra steps, definitely, but it's going to increase the amount of time it's going to take you to do a batch, probably by as much as an hour, hour and a half. So you're going to be setting aside a little bit more time to get a batch out. The big positive of it is now we're dealing more with raw ingredients. So you have much better, your quality of ingredients can be vastly improved, obviously. And you, as a home brewer, have the ability to toy around with those ingredients. You know, if you cook, there's a difference between this type of flour and that type of flour. There's a difference between should you decide to use regular granulated sugar and brown sugar. It's nothing different here. Now, I've got a kit, and everything's pre-measured, and they've decided this is how, you know, the recipe we've come up with. But I can choose to follow that recipe. I can take that. I mean, it says exactly what's in there. I could go get it fresh ground right now from the beer store, and I could say, you know, instead of a pound of that, I'd like 2 pounds of this, that kind of thing. So it's going to give us a little bit more freedom. But we're going with the kit. We're going to do what they said. What you're probably wondering is, how much is this going to cost me? Well, oddly enough, the higher you go in the brewing process, really the cheaper it becomes. Just like anything else, the more the manufacturer has to do to get the product to you, the more expensive the product costs you. So a mini mash kit is actually slightly cheaper than an extract kit. And the all-grain kits can actually be cheaper than that. The pale ale all-grain I did just as a lark last year cost me 20 bucks. That was slightly marked down because somebody, I guess, had bought it and brought it back. But, you know, that was my win. Okay, parts, not much at all. You've already got one of these probably. This is a plastic fermenter. I was given this by my brother-in-law, Jeff, and his wife, Kat, for Christmas, including the parts that are inside of it. What this is a fermenter, not a bottling bucket, because you can see there's no big old hole for the bottling valve. It's all solid. So I drilled a hole into it. 3/8 inch hole, about 3/4 to an inch up from the bottom. And then I whittled the hole up, the diameter, slowly up until I got to the point where our trusty 3/8 inch tubing that we all use will just barely go through there. And it does take a little bit of work to get it through. Once it's through the wall, you can kind of pull it through. And the beautiful thing is the hose is spongy enough to make a pretty good seal around that hole, so you don't have to worry about leakage. There's not going to be enough pressure in here to force it anyway. It's going to go through the tube. The tube goes in and hooks up a Phil's false bottom. Now this Phil's false bottom kit comes with exactly what you see. It comes with the plastic concave, convex, whichever side you're standing on, disc, and the little angle valve. The tubing hooks to the angle valve. The fact that it's raising up off the floor of the bucket helps keep your grains from getting too impacted on the bottom. And it makes the filtration actually work a little bit better. Liquids are going to filter through, they're going to go up through the valve and out the tube. The tube's rate is controlled, in this case, with just a little medical quality little restrictor, right? And it comes with, of course, a lid. Done. That's all the parts I needed to get. That's nothing. You know, some tubing, what's that, 27 cents a foot? The Phil's false bottom, I honestly don't know how much it costs because they bought it for me, but it can't be that expensive. And an extra bucket, which you probably already have. I only use my plastic buckets as fermenters just because it's easier for me to transfer at the beginning, and then I always go to glass next anyway. So losing, had I not been given this, losing one of my fermenters would have been nothing to me, really. Every other part, same stuff, air blocks and all that, nothing different. However, instead of using the turkey fryer, we're going to be using my original boil pot. let me get on this side. My original boil pot, which can hold several gallons, I think 20 quart, something to that effect. We're only going to be boiling we're going to be boiling in, well, we're going to be heating up water in 2 batches. The first batch is going to be probably in the 1 1/4 to 1 1/2 gallon size. The second batch is going to be a 2 gallon boil. That first boil, which my ingredients list calls for 1 1/4 gallons, we're going to add the grains to. Now, unlike in a partial extract kit, in a mini mash kit, you're getting much more grains. So the partial extract, I would have expected to see around a pound or so of grains. In this kit, you're looking at 5 to 6 pounds of grains. Because we're not only just soaking it in the hot water to get specialty kind of flavors out of it, we're mashing it in this case in order to extract as well as flavors, fermentable sugars. So a lot more grains are involved. So we're going to heat that water up, we're going to get the grains in there, stir it up, then make a porridge. That's going to go, well, I tell you what, you guys can make this choice. You can leave it in the pot and wrap it with a blanket so it'll kind of hold that temperature, or you can transfer it to the now mash tun. Used to be a ferment. It really doesn't matter either way. I'm going to transfer it so I can rinse out the pot and get the second batch of water going. That's all. A little bit quicker. Everything's going into the mash tun. Then I'm going to wrap the mash tun with one of my horse blankets, which will keep it nice and warm. The deal on mashing is that you want a certain temperature to be maintained for a certain amount of time. And a lot of guys, they'll do it in their boil pots because if it starts to drop too low, they can apply heat a little bit and keep the temperature up. But we've got a safety catch. This is mini mash, not all grains, so we still have some extract we're going to be adding. So if we don't get perfect extraction of sugars, it's not that big of a deal because we have a backup. So let's see now. Heat the water up, get the grains in there, everything goes into the pot. We're going to wrap that up. That's going to sit for 45 minutes. Then we're going to take this pot, clean it out, get 2 gallons of water in there. When the 45 minutes are done, we want that 2 gallons to be up to temperature. Okay, turn the fire off. The restrictor on our hose opens up, and we're going to start slowly draining liquid out from the grains into a Pyrex cup. Now, if you've worked with grains before, you know that you get a real fine particulate from chaff and all that coming out of the grains. So that cloudy stuff that's coming out at first, we're going to take the little cup and just dump it slowly right back up onto the grain bed. Okay, you want a flow rate of about a cup a minute, half a pint a minute. Real slow, okay? Dump it back up, and as many times as it takes to get a clear glass. Once you get clear, right, dump it in there, put the hose into your boil pot, keep your flow going. Then you're going to start cupping out the hot water from the pot and slowly adding it to the grain bed. You're going to build a cushion of water, freestanding water, somewhere in the 1 to 2 inch range of thickness above the top of the grain bed. You're going to add water as much as it takes, as quickly or as slowly as it takes to maintain that cushion of freestanding water, right? The reason being, you don't want to just dump water on there and dig into the grain bed with the force of the water, because the water going through will seek those paths of least resistance and you'll get less than wonderful extraction. But that cushion of water slowly pushing through all the grains evenly will give you pretty good extraction. So just keep adding the water until it's done, get it all out. That goes into the boil pot. You are now done with mashing. It's that easy. Takes a little bit extra time, but it's seriously that easy. It just, let it wait, let it sit, get it out. Once it's into the boil pot, you go right back to where you've already been. You're going to get it up to temperature. You're going to add your extra fermentables that come in my case, in the bag, the extra sugars. You're going to do your hop schedule as regular. You're going to throw in your Weirflock or your Irish moss as regular. It's nothing different. So we're just going to really deal with this part. All the other parts I need, same old everyday stuff that you needed that you're doing along. The only real difference is this first step where we're mashing. And then during that 45-minute rest, I don't know, I'm going to do dishes or something. Fold clothes. So, let's see, is there anything I forgot? I got some good water. I bought water, for those of you who like to complain about the water I use. Bottled in the Sierra Nevadas, so it's nice and clean. That's it. Let's move on to the next step.